Then, Mr. Allen, I'm going to direct this question to you because you made the comments on Friday. You had indicated that you had received some information, and I thought you said some photographs regarding the defendant's conduct, which potentially could be construed as extending the middle finger or flipping people off, including a witness, perhaps family. Do you have those photographs?
I can get them printed. Basically, it was just screen captures from what was being broadcast on WebEx, which I think the court may also have the same things that I saw.
Do we have that now? Okay, so we will upload some of that so that there is some record of what it was. You may have all noticed that the tables have been slightly reconfigured. They'll be reconfigured again after or at lunchtime, largely because I think that table where it is generally wasted space. So what we're going to do is give you...
So we're going to see even a new table configuration after lunch is over today.
A more narrow one and slide that table over further. I'll move that table then to the back so that you can put stuff on it. You may still be able to use it to some extent, but nobody will be able to sit at it. Ms. Stauch, you have the right and obligation to be present for your trial. Being present permits you to see the evidence the prosecution is presenting against you. It permits you to communicate with your lawyers while that is going on and assist them in your defense. You also have the right for the jury not to see you in restraints that are commonly associated with being held in custody or confinement. That way, the jury does not see you as a prisoner or someone who is in custody and is not prejudiced against you because of that. These rights, however...
Which to me is a big up to lawyers that write these rules in America, that even though there's enough evidence to hold you without bond, we still don't want you to show up in shackles and in an orange jumpsuit for trial. I mean, I think that's really fair in our justice system. I just want to point that out.
America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America, fuck yeah.
Are not without limitation. While you have the right to be present for your trial, you also have the responsibility to behave with the respect and decorum required for this formal proceeding. You also have the responsibility to behave in such a fashion as to make the use of additional restraints unnecessary. Sometimes, during trial, a defendant chooses to act out. The likelihood that that will happen, in my experience, seems to increase the longer the trial takes and the more serious the charges are. And I know that right now we're in week 4, or we finished 4 weeks, we're starting week 5. You aren't the first defendant to act out. Probably not going to be the last. I cannot imagine the pressure a defendant feels during any trial. It's not uncommon.
Very nice and understanding of him so far.
For a defendant to disagree with certain testimony or dislike a witness or a victim. Nevertheless, you cannot act disrespectfully in words or actions. First of all, never helps you out. You've already heard one juror submitted a question regarding his observation of your conduct. They don't miss anything. It also makes your attorney's job much harder.
Ain't that the truth? They don't miss anything. As we've heard in juror interviews post-trial, they are always paying attention.
They need to focus on the evidence presented and how to counter that rather than your conduct in the courtroom. I am also aware of the practical realities that exist in this case. I could hold you in contempt for your conduct in the courtroom. That would mean that I could impose a sentence of up to 6 months of jail for each incident of conduct which I find to be contemptuous. However, in a case where a defendant is facing decades or even life in prison, if convicted, a 6-month contempt sentence does not seem to be much of a deterrent.
Ain't that the truth? It's like she did not seem to care yesterday. She doesn't seem to care today. Seems like she knows she's probably going to prison for the rest of her life. So she's probably thinking, whatever, that doesn't scare me.
But that does not leave me without a remedy. We have moved the tables around. You are now sitting in a chair that does not rock or swivel. You will be directly facing the bench and you will be more in my line of sight. I want to caution you against certain actions, such as waving your hands around, trying to stretch your fingers out and leaving one of them more prominent than the other. Those acts would be, in my opinion, disrespectful to the proceeding. It's disrespectful to the court and the legal process. I also view it as a form of witness intimidation and an attempt to influence presentation of evidence in this case. If that conduct occurs again, it would be a violation of the decorum I expect in this case. Everybody that's sitting in the gallery sees signs that have already warned them of the same kind of conduct. You can't do it either. I may then impose other remedies. I could simply have a bolt installed on the underside of the table and have your hands cuffed to that bolt.
Cool.
You wouldn't be able to use your hands. The jury wouldn't be able to see the handcuffs.
Ooh, he's like, so we can make sure the jury doesn't see the handcuffs, but I'll still bolt your hands to the bottom of the table so you can't even lift them up the entirety of the trial. Eesh, that's rough.
It would be uncomfortable. I could have you removed from the courtroom and the trial would proceed without you. You would not be returned to the jail. Instead, you would be held in a holding cell in this building. You know how uncomfortable they are. You would then be transported back to the courtroom at every break to see if you had changed your mind and agreed to behave in a respectful manner a courtroom requires. And you would be brought over for the next day of trial and we would start all over again.
Interesting. I would have loved to see this guy with Darryl Brooks, right?
And Your Honor, would it be possible for the bailiffs to just move the boxes off the table so we can
Yes, I think
see?
that's fair. I'm gonna advise the bailiff to remove the box so I can see Mr. Brooks. I don't know what he's doing behind there. He has quieted down. I haven't heard him in a while. If you could move the second one because it can interfere with the microphone as well. And the third. Mr. Brooks, I'm going to ask you for a third time. Do you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions